What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to part 4 of the XL125 build series. Today we are going to be going and taking the welding and fabrication side of things into our own hands. As we saw in last video, we removed our factory air box and installed an air filter pod. With that being said, we lost our mounting location for our battery. So over here on the bench, I have our old, if you want to call it, battery box. And I've cut a couple pieces of metal out here and labeled and measured, drilled a couple holes. And what we're going to do with this guy is mount it just like that on the frame. We'll weld directly to the frame and have ourselves a permanent battery box for this style build. I also have another piece here which we will weld on the back side of the battery box, and that will keep the battery from wanting to fall out. With that being said, before we get into any of that, we need to remove our factory rear fender because I do not want to be welding this close to plastic. On top of that, we were not going to be using this rear fender anymore. So luckily it's just a couple of 10mm bolts here, and we have 1, 2, and another 1, 2 on the other side, and it should drop out. Oh, one more here in the tail as well. So we're gonna get started with that, and then once we're done removing our fender, we will prep our surfaces on both sides, along with the battery box on the back side. We'll start with welding the back side. And then once the back side's welded, we'll mock it up on the frame and weld to the frame. There we go. Battery's mounted up. Got everything welded. Little coat of paint. Not my best welds, but that's okay. Don't mind the zip ties. They're temporary. I have the battery strap coming in the mail. Got all the wiring tucked away where I'm going to want it to be. So happy with that. I also removed all the little factory mounting points for our little covers that would be here because we're not going to need those, and there's just extra stuff in the way. But the last thing we're going to do modification-wise is, as you can see, I had the seat mocked up. The rear hoop, I want to move pretty much to where it sits flush with the back of the seat. So you can see where I have a yellow paint mark here. That's where I'm going to cut it. I have it measured on each side. We're about 2.5 to 3 inches to the end of the seat. So we're going to start with cutting there, and we'll end up cutting it in another spot and bringing the hoop closer. Only thing that concerns me is, as you can see, the diameter of the tube changes as it comes farther out. We'll deal with that once we cut this and see what we're working with. But yeah, let's jump right into it. No turning back now. I ended up cutting this piece in 2 different spots, like I had mentioned before. I think it looks pretty sweet. It's just mocked up right now. Like I said, the tube diameter is different. You can see right where it slides in. So we're gonna end up just filling that with some weld. And I ended up flipping this whole piece over, pretty much like this, to give us this angle for our taillight and license plate holder. So all that's mocked up. I'm gonna get it filled with weld. That wasn't so bad. Got everything 360 welded. They are not the prettiest welds, but we had to fill a lot of extra space in there. Also mounted up the license plate and taillight mount. Looks pretty good. Seat's just kind of sitting there. The next thing we're gonna try and mess with is our seat mounts. They are now on the inside of the frame. So we're gonna try to figure out what to do there. But, I mean, overall, that looks pretty freaking sweet. So let's move on to some seat mounts. Well, I decided not to film the seat mounts because it really wasn't all that exciting. But our seat is bolted in. We have bolts on the inside of the frame now. Super simple there. What I ended up doing was, this was our original seat mount. I took a M8 by 125 tap and ran it all the way through the frame to where I was able to put some bolts on the inside of the frame. So our seat is all done, bolted on, happy with it. Next thing, or last thing we're gonna focus on is our gas tank here. As we saw in the beginning, our gas tank is full of rust, pretty bad. So before I decide to pour a rust remover in, I wanna get this dent out of the tank here. It's a pretty big dent, and my plan is to paint this gas tank in the next video. But with a dent that big, you'll see that thing from a mile away. So I have my dent puller over there in the box, and we're gonna give a shot at trying to pull that out. Once we pull that out, we're gonna pour a rust remover in and let it sit for a couple days, a couple weeks. We'll see how long it takes, but yeah, let's try to get this dent out. Okay, so I got a little ahead of myself, but we did get the dent out, so I'm happy with that. You're probably wondering why half the paint's missing on the gas tank. I ended up running the tank through my parts washer to kind of clean it up, and it actually did a decent job. The inside of the tank, I mean, it's not great, but it's much better than it was, especially way down in there. But anyway, now we got our dent out. I have our fuel valve capped off. I'm not sure if it's gonna leak, but we'll find out. With that being said, we're gonna pour our rust remover in. Already ripped the seal. And that was also the watery, fuel-y mix that came out of the tank. I'm actually surprised there was fluid in it. But let's grab our funnel, and we're just gonna pour this stuff in. So obviously this isn't enough to actually fill the whole tank, but over the course of a couple days, I'm gonna just slosh this around with the cap on, and it should clean up most of the rust. If I have any issues, I'll end up getting more. And if it's still not enough, what I do is sometimes put something abrasive in there. I'll throw like some BBs in there and slosh the tank around, and that works pretty well. But that's that. We'll be back in a couple days for part 5. So until then, everyone take care.